Welcome in, everybody. Make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe. This is Agree to Disagree, only on HUD Radio. The Eagles have lost 2 in a row. We're going to talk about it.
Oh, my God! I'm embarrassed! You're flying!
Welcome in. It's almost time. Welcome in, everybody. This is Agree to Disagree, only on HUD Radio. Every Sunday, we're brought to you by our doc. Make them yours. Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC. Location in Burlington, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Find them right on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. They accept most major insurances. Go check them out. As always, Nick Delgazzo. As always, no Brian Wilson. As always, Greg Milanovic. I'm Tom Arnone. Everybody out there, welcome in. Not the show I expected to be doing this Sunday night. I just want to make that clear before we get in and unpack everything. You know, I expect to be talking about number 1 seed in the NFC, right? And week 18. Let's get some guys right. Let's talk about what we're going to do for jail in week 18. And let's start talking about some real meaningful playoff football games. But that's not going to be the case tonight. The Eagles have lost 2 in a row. At the end of the show, like we do every Sunday, we'll give you a crumb of the week. We'll also go through playoff scenarios, give you the update of that and what needs to go on for everybody to get in. Players of the game, Eagles, Saints. Let's be real. Besides defensively up front, not many for the Eagles. But we'll talk about that. We'll get into it. Eagles, Saints, post-game reactions is our main topic at hand. Ties into our poll question brought to you by Baggio's Bread. They're located right in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. They're the home of the best stuffed breads, tomato pies, sandwiches, cutlets, meatballs, desserts. You mentioned HUD Radio. You get 10% off your in-store purchase. That's Baggio's Bread. They're located right in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Our poll question for tonight's show seems like it can be easy for some, and then others maybe not so much. And we're gonna dive into this. Because I feel like I'm going to be Tom's going to be hot take city for what I'm going to come in and say first. Because people have a short memory, all right, and it's a short attention span, and they forget what happened 2 minutes before, all right. So to the poll, the offensive game plan / play calling was the biggest reason for the loss today. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. That's where we're live. Everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there as well. Hit the like, subscribe, download, review. And most importantly, comment in. We're here for you to get it off your chest. We get it off our chest, and we start talking about week 18 probably by the end of this show. Listen, it's easy to agree with this poll question, right? On the surface, it wasn't good enough, right? I didn't think they ran the ball well enough in the first half, or they didn't run it at all. Okay, they didn't run the football at all. They ran an offense that wanted to throw the ball essentially if they had enough 45 times. That's sort of the way they wanted to do it today. Okay. What I didn't like is, yes, that's part of today's loss. Absolutely. I thought Shane Steichen and Nick Sirianni had a terrible game plan today. Terrible. So let me make that clear before I disagree with the poll question. I want to make that clear. Like that's they're not off the hook. All right. Nick's not off the hook at all. Nick hasn't won shit. Right? Shane Steichen hasn't won shit. These guys aren't geniuses, the smartest guys in the room where they can never be criticized. Okay? Today's a game where you look at them and you criticize them. Rightfully so, right? But look at this. There's a backup quarterback playing today. So, yes, is it on them to run the football and be smarter there? Absolutely. But it's also on this defense to not give up an 8-minute drive to start the game where you got bent over. Now, and I heard from this defense all week. I heard from them all week how they were mad. They were pissed off, right? You're pissed off about the way things went in Dallas, okay? That's all I heard. I looked at an uninspired, I want to say a little bit lazy defense on that first drive. And part of that goes to what you're running. Okay, there was a point in that first drive that Hasson Reddick was covering Chris Olave. Is that smart ever? Okay, so please, somebody hire Jonathan Gannon and tell me that another defensive coordinator can't get it done with this defense. Okay, so it was unaggressive. It was, and they took it to us. They took the fight right to us. Part of it's scheme, and then when we switched up and we started going man, right, and said go ahead and beat us, which we should have been doing from the beginning. All right, our front started getting home, and we made Andy Dalton look like Andy Dalton. But before that, he was 16 for 16. 16 for 16. So, listen, I expected offense with Gardner Minshew to have some 3 and outs. I expect it. I'm not saying it's okay. The Saints have a really good defense. You're in a dogfight today. If you didn't come into this football game thinking that you weren't in a dogfight with them, I think you're crazy. Just the way they're coached, just the way their defense runs around the football field. They got playmakers, and especially when they get a guy like Lattimore back today, right? I mean, they're a good defense. They're good. They're tough. They're physical. So if you don't think you're going to be in a little bit of a dogfight with a backup quarterback, okay, regardless if we think Gardner's good or not, he's still a backup right now, right? Still backup right this second on this football team. So I need my defense to step up. How about you get off the field on one of those third downs, okay? And then not only that, next possession, they go 2 minutes, fine. They punt it. The possession next after that was a 5-minute drive. So you didn't even respond to that. You just kept getting. So when people are saying, well, Tom, the offense isn't running the ball, I get it. They're not helping the defense out either. But in a game like today, I need the defense to not make Andy Dalton look good at all. At all. Like, I can't have Andy Dalton even look a little bit good. So that's why I don't agree to do it. That was the biggest reason. Because the biggest reason is how you started today. You started today down. You started today where you felt like you were down more than you were. And I think the game plan shifted and you started acting like you were, right? And you lose game 20-10. You're still a 13-3 football team. You still control your number 1 seed destiny next week, all right? And it shows you how important Jalen Hurts really is to a football team. For anybody that questioned that, for anybody out there that was like, you know what? He's the system. Look at everybody around him. Look how much talent's around him. How's that talent aged the last 2 weeks? Because you're 0-2 without that guy. So we talk about winning. We talk about culture. We talk about leadership. We talk about the things that he brings to the table and talent. All right. He's a big get. All right. And we show the importance of Lane Johnson. Rear thought we had get Drake Driscoll. My last thing, and I want you guys to go get Drake Driscoll the hell out of there, like I said on Wednesday, and put Andre Dillard there. The one thing we know, you want to throw the football, because if you want to throw the football, this is what he did. This is what he's coming out of college. His claim to fame was nobody got sacks on Andre Dillard. I don't care. Pac-12, Big 12, big, you know, whatever 12 you're playing in, right? Okay, wherever you're playing in, it doesn't matter if you're not giving up sacks. So give the guy a run over at right tackle a little bit and see what happens. You got nothing to lose, but Driscoll got owned today. Got owned. So play calling's atrocious. Everything's atrocious. When you lose 20-10 to the Saints, everything's atrocious. So play calling, the whole list goes on. All right? And I'll get into A.J. Brown's my crumb in a week later, and everybody's going to be like, why, Tom? Why, another hot take? No. I'm just going to tell you a couple things that I don't like, and I don't like from this football team. And we'll get into that later on in tonight's show. I'm so fired up right now. I'm so fired up. So don't just blame it. Don't blame it just on the offense here. We got a backup quarterback. Put some blame on a defense that literally got bent over and kept saying, and the Saints said, is that too hard? And they didn't let you answer.
I can appreciate.
There's my rant. Sorry.
Yeah, great rant. I can appreciate the side. I can appreciate you taking the side where that's less. It might be least obvious. You know what I mean? Because watching them on offense today was putrid. All right. So from the play calling to the execution to everything was an absolute disgrace. All right. But I can appreciate your take there. I feel like you're giving them hell for no reason in the sense. And let me finish. All right. I understand 16 for 16, huge pick at the end of the half to keep the Eagles in the football game. You give up 13 points, 6+ sacks again, 5 straight games. It's NFL history. It's never been done before. Actual 0 in the second half. the pick six is the only points that they gave up in the second half. So I understand the frustration. Sweat went out early. So, would you like a goose egg? But the Saints have weapons. I got news for you. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, they're not scaring you, but they got some weapons. You know what I mean? Like, they're not using Kamara right. He just, hasn't been right all year. But like you said, some matchups early. So some stupid stuff defensively early. There's no reason that Reddick should ever be chasing Olave around. So I get all that, but I don't know.
Real quick, I'm disagreeing because I think it's on everything. So they're not the main reason was my disagreement. So you guys know, like my main reason is because they're not the main reason. There's two reasons that went in today's football game. First quarter defense, first quarter and a half defense, or whatever you want to say, first 3 possession defense, because it wasn't good the first 3 possessions. And after that, they were lights out, like you said, absolutely. And then the offense did nothing because they stunk all day.
Exactly. And some of that goes to being on the field forever, too, in the first half. You know what I mean? You got your first down, which is a disgrace. It shouldn't even happen in flag football. Got your first down under a minute, I think. You know what I mean?
Fifth series.
Yeah, whenever
4 straight 3 and outs.
You know what I mean? Whenever it was, you got your first down, the place clapped. Everybody stood up and clapped. It was, it was a 13-2 football team, and they're getting booed. I understand the backups in, you know what I mean, and rightfully so. You know what I mean? People aren't happy. They shouldn't have to sit there and take it. You know what I mean? But it's just, listen, when you set expectations and you expect things week in and week out, and you're used to watching a certain way of, a certain brand of football being played, you should be disappointed. You know what I mean? Absolutely, Driscoll just got exposed. You know what I mean? So, the reason, we always say that's the obvious reason is the obvious injury is Lane Johnson. You know what I mean? You don't need to be Inspector Clouseau to make that statement. You know what I mean? Everybody sees it. It's factual. It is what it is. You know what I mean? It's just that guy was one of the best picks in Eagles history, and it rears every time he goes out. It rears his ugly head. You know what I mean? Like the guy almost pitches a shutout every time he plays. You know what I mean? So, that was glaring too, and obviously he doesn't move as well as Hurts. You know what I mean? So there's gonna be times when he becomes a little statuesque. So that doesn't help. A guy that's getting exposed on the offensive line. You know what I mean? Too many penalties. Like I said, head to toe, just a horrible game at home with a chance to wrap up the 1 seed. Penalties, how many false starts are they going to have? I don't care about cadence. I don't care about whose voice you hear. And once again, that's just more excuses. You're playing at home. There's no crowd. No,
you did it on the road fine.
You can hear the crowd. You can hear your quarterback. You know what I mean? Hut. It doesn't matter who's calling it. You know what I mean? He's not trying to draw his own guys offside. All right, so let's stop with that bullshit. I heard that after the game. It's a different voice. It's a different voice.
There was no issue in Dallas though last week.
Save that for 2023. Save that for people who give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, stay in your stance and be ready to play. You know what I mean? Like, it's unexcusable. So time of possession, which happens when you go 3 and out, pretty much the whole first half, you're going to see time of possession be as lopsided as it was. You know what I mean? So just all around, absolutely, an atrocity. The team that competed on Christmas Eve didn't really compete today. All right, and that's for sure. So, you thought, you needed 1 win in those 3 games, and now it's going to come down to week 18. So, the Giants clinched, so I expect them not to play anybody. So it should be, the Eagles should get it done.
I don't know. I don't know. The ghost of Joe Judge might have him go full force.
I don't think they can move from that spot, right? I don't think they can advance.
No, they can't though. No, they
can't advance anywhere. So
did he stay in?
No,
they're calling it in.
Yeah, I don't think he's in.
You're probably ahead of me though, so you'll probably know before me.
No,
absolutely right, Sweeps. Tommy, real quick to your point, because I agree, but I also agree to your rant as well on that first drive. Because normally I'm a guy that normally doesn't put too much stock into defense on the first drive, because those are the scripted plays from the offense. The offense, of course, would like for it to go exactly how that drive went, right? But when you look at that drive in totality, that drive was uninspiring from the defense. To your point, right? There was plenty of third downs, even the 4th down, right? There was plenty of third downs where you got to get off the field, right? You get yourself to a point where you set yourself up for a third down and you can't get off the field. Fourth down, they're running Taysom Hill. Like every fat guy on New Orleans is on the field right now. Like they're running, and they just manhandled you that first drive, right? So normally I'm a guy that doesn't necessarily kill the defense on the first drive type of thing because of those scripted plays, and the offense is like obviously they're wanting to do what they want to do too. But today was one of those scenarios where I do agree, and just the uninspired play, because I agree it was overall pathetic early on.
Well, it's one thing about giving up points, Greg. It's one thing about giving up points on the first drive. It's like that happens, right? I get it. Yeah. It's another thing to have the ball for 8 minutes.
Yes.
And then you expect an offense to get in rhythm. That offense just sat there cold, like for 8 minutes. 8 minutes. They're like, are we playing football today? Yeah. Right? That's not an excuse. It's just like sometimes it just knocks an offense's rhythm off.
You almost wish you didn't defer, right?
Yeah. Sometimes because you guys told us how mad you were all week. Yeah. That's why I'm mad at the first. I want to make it clear again. I'm not backpedaling like Devlin said from what Sweeps was saying to me. I'm not backpedaling. I'm saying that it's not mainly just on the shitty play calling that was atrocious today. It's on the players, okay? It's on the players. It's uninspired first drive, first half football team for the most part of everybody on the roster, okay? Nothing looked good. And for 4 quarters, really nothing looked good besides some sacks. And the defense getting some stops, right? And things started to look better, but we couldn't get the big play. We didn't have that in us today. And every time we did, we had a big time penalty, a touchdown run, right? A big play to Boston Scott that was for like 25 yards. That would have got another drive going after the AJ touchdown. Maybe things change, right? But when that gets called back at Kelsey, it's 45 yards downfield. I mean, it's 45 yards downfield. So this is the reason I'm disagreeing. It's not a back battle. I'm disagreeing because it was everything. I can't just say, hey, it was just this. I'm just not letting off a defense when you talked all week how mad you were, get manhandled that first drive and look like you don't want to be there. And then, of course, you play lights out after that. Nobody's going to take that away from them. But that first drive, I'm sitting here going, are we going to lose this football game today?
Yeah.
Because we don't look like we want to be here. I watch enough football on Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays, Saturdays, okay, to know when teams are flying around looking for trouble. Right? We know when these guys are looking for trouble today out there. That 11, I like that 11. We came to play today. And then you look at times where it's like, yo. And then I think the boos got going. They got mad. They settled in. And, our front, they've been fantastic. So I don't, I'm not going to hear. I don't like Jonathan Gannon, but it has nothing to do with how good our defense has been. But that drive, that's a player's drive. That's a player's drive. Somebody come out there. Somebody get through a block. Somebody make a big play. Right? We're not talking about
get off the field.
Yeah, just
give up 3 points, right? I mean, even if you gave up a touchdown, but it didn't take 8 minutes.
Take 4 minutes.
And you didn't get manhandled the whole time. But to the poll, and with me agreeing, you just look at the offense, and there was obviously we know. I mean, they only had 17 plays in the first half, right? So it's tough to necessarily to establish the run, but we talked about this even with Doug, right? Even with Doug was here, we had when you had backup offensive linemen, like you sit there and you want to pass. Like get these road graders going downhill a little bit, right? A little bit. That third series they came out, Miles had 2 runs. It was 3rd and 1, and then then we tried to pass again, right? You know what I mean? Like Miles, when he got the ball, had a decent day, but again, he didn't have it much, right? And again, first half. I think maybe to your point, Tommy, they felt like they were down bigger, but Driscoll got abused early.
Yeah.
And when you're getting abused early, you got to switch it up. Make him go forward. Give him a little confidence of going forward, so that way he opens himself up confidence-wise and mentally-wise to be able to pass block again. Because he was getting abused early on.
Yeah, let your team be able to play off the fact of play action, right?
Yes.
You don't even allow it. And the other thing the run does is allow you to get in a rhythm. You're one 40-yarder away from having a big drive, right? So it's you got it. I'm not Mr. Run the ball every play. You know how I feel about it.
Yeah.
But like when we can all sit here and say, dude, I need you to run a little bit more, right? Then we know we're on to something. And that's egregious again today. But because when there's no Jalen, there's a lack of run, right? And that's a problem. When you're RPOing, and then you can pass off of it, right? And then now that allows
Well, that's
more
what ended up opening him up a little bit, right? When he started getting moving, it was off of the RPO and stuff like that, to your point. And yeah, he didn't play great, but he also wasn't the worst thing ever. Like he didn't play great, but he did make some throws when he finally got into the rhythm. But that's on the coaching staff to get him in a rhythm.
No, absolutely. They did a shit job all week. 40 boy, I say everybody, Devlin, everybody's questioning. Sam, what I'm trying to say is how do we just erase drives? Like, I understand what the final total was, but if we watch this game today, early on, 2 out of the 3 drives, they let us down. They give up 10 points in 3 drives. Like, we're not coming into that football game expecting that. So I did think it changed the rhythm of the game today. They're not the only blame, but I can't be critical of their first 3 drives. Like what? I know what they gave up, and I said how good they played in the second half. It doesn't take away the way they played in the first. Just like it doesn't take away how shitty the offense was in the first, or how the offense was all game, or how shitty Nick Sirianni was today, or how shitty Shane Steichen was today. It doesn't take away from any of that shit. But I'm allowed to be critical of certain units. I don't understand. Like, you guys understand, it's a team effort here. Like, it's not like one side lost and the other side didn't. Like, when you lose a football game, it's a team loss. It's a team loss, right? A defense doesn't get a win and an offense gets a loss, right? It doesn't work like that when you're leaving a football game. It's another loss as a unit. And when I'm playing with a backup quarterback, you're as a defense, what are you always taught? Hey, got to pitch a shutout today. Not that that's realistic, right? Not that that's realistic, but you sure as hell don't want an 8-minute drive for 7 to start it off. That's all. Like I said, 2 minutes over top, big play happens, right? Makes sense? Okay, because you're getting your offense on the field quickly.
Yeah.
8 minutes is a lot of standing around.
It's one of those domino things, you know what I mean? And at the top of the domino, so like you said, there's a lot of different reasons, right? But the top of the domino is the poll question, right? Because Miles ran for 5. He averaged 12 for 61. He ripped it on 5 a pop. You know what I mean? And like I said, the first half. So that was, he did all that damage in the second half, So why would you just not, you just have to explain yourself to me. You know what I mean? Like, you have to go in front of a microphone. I'm sure he did. And just explain. It don't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. All right. You're 1 win away from clinching a 1 seed. This isn't time to fucking play games and try things. You know what I mean? Like, you got a backup quarterback in there. That's the time to establish the fucking run against a team that's not good against the run.
You don't want my opinion on it.
Oh, by the way,
I think Nick's a kiss ass. And he almost got the guy who wants to get like Gardner, like money next year somewhere else. Like, you know what I mean? I can almost feel that. Like, you know what? Let's show him off a little bit for himself. You know what I mean? Like, let's show him off a little bit for himself, and we'll just act like there's no change at quarterback here, because there's a change. And I agree, 40 boy. I am blaming more on the offense, but it doesn't take away the defense. But it doesn't take away the poll changing. Like, I'm not putting the majority just on play call, and like that's why the poll's like weird in a way, because I'm not putting the majority on it. Like, I think this is a combo of things, right? I think you talk about first drive momentum, then you talk about what transpires after that. You don't want to run the football, you don't want to get rhythm for your quarterback, and then boom, any chance you got rhythm, there was penalties, which are on players, right? Which are on players, like lock in. There was too many penalties today. So there's a list of things. That it's not one main reason you lost today. It's everything, which then goes to who? It's on Nick Sirianni. It's the head honcho. It's the guy who leads all the men, right? It's on the guy who leads all the men in the National Football League. All right? You got to get your guys ready to play football. Because this last week, it looked like you're ready to play. We gave you that loss. This week, again, uninspired offense. Uninspired first quarter defense, whatever you want to say.
They ran 15 plays on the first drive, which is 2 less than we ran the whole first half. And so I just kind of backing Tommy up, and not that he needs it, but to those that are saying, it's only 1 drive. You had a 3rd and 4 where you gave up a 10-yard pass to Jawan Johnson. You had a 3rd and 3. You gave up an 8-yard pass to Olave. That was I think that was the one that
that was with Hasson.
Hasson was covering.
Yeah, that's smart.
You had a 3rd and 1. That was the play Sweat got hurt. 3rd and 1, run up the middle. You had a 3rd and 3. That's where they stopped him. And then the 4th and 2, that's where they went for it and they got it. which led to then the 1st and goal, easy touchdown there, right? So there's 4 opportunities, 3 third downs, maybe 4 third downs, and a 4th down where you could get off the field, and you didn't do it, right? So that's that first drive, right? You know what I mean? That's that first drive in a nutshell. And again, like I said, that's where, to my point, where
it's not who cares, Dev. When we're breaking down a whole game, I'm leading you off. Like, I'm bad leadoff. So the leadoff hitter who strikes out every time he comes up, it doesn't matter because it's the first play. It's the first batter. It doesn't matter. No, it all breaks into matters. I get it. Listen, I'm saying, I said it was a hot take coming in that was putting pressure on this defense, but I do. Like Greg said, 15 plays. 15 plays. And I'm not spitting in the Saints' faces. I'm spitting in Andy Dalton's face at this point of his career. Like, knock it off. Don't make him look so comfortable. Why do they look like they're the smartest offensive play callers around? Like, why can't we get off the field? Not even just on third downs. Like, why can't we have a big second down stop? Right? Why couldn't we have a good first down stop to get us to third down? So then you
sit. Was wide open all game.
So then you sit forever. This is a blame game for everybody, guys. So we can circle the wagons and yell and scream. We all agree on one thing, not only us here, but everybody in the chat. The play calling, all right? Nick Sirianni, some question marks right now. There's some question marks. There's some question marks, okay? And, I think we need in this football team needs a good week 18 now. You know what I mean? I don't care if the Giants us 3 playing and spells, right? Like us 4 are playing, us 3 and spells, right? We're playing suit up for the Giants. Like, I need a good outing. I need a good outing from the Eagles, right? Like, I need a clean one. I need an outing where you're not getting over 4 or 5 penalties. Okay, I need one where you're not turning the football over. And today they were doing a good job of that before the interception. Okay, but I need a clean one. I need a clean one, and obviously I need a win. Yeah. I don't agree with what Jason Kell said today. We're not worried about a 1 seed. Well, Jason, I think you should be a little bit worried about a 1 seed. I'm not saying that doesn't. I know you're upset, you lost, but at this point you should be a little bit worried about it. It's a bye week.
Yeah,
it's a bye week. It's home field all the way throughout.
And you were 13-1. Yeah, 13-1. It gives the guy that plays next to you an extra week. So yeah, I'd say it's very important. You know what I mean? So like you said, it's just one of those cauldrons. We always talk about the NFL. Some things are an anomaly. Some things it doesn't always come down to this. But I always talk about that the winning cauldron. You know what I mean? You put things in the winning cauldron. You know what I mean? So you look at third down. A combination of third down and 4th down. They were 8 for 17. They were 8 for 17.
He did it, Bill.
3 for 14. 3 for 14. All right. Penalties, absolutely lopsided. Time of possession, lopsided. Turnovers were the same. And obviously somehow total yards were both at 313 too. You know what I mean? But 3 out of 5 that go into the winning cauldron. You were on the wrong side of. So it's just. And the one turnover was a pick 6. You know what I mean? So I count that as like 3. So really, you lost the turnover battle if you're looking at sweeps' cauldron. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like a pick 6 at that time back, in a 13-10 game, that counts as 2. That counts as 2 or 3 turnovers in my book. So
Bill, this is why I hate to do sometimes because I think people come in late. People don't come in and listen to everything that's said, whatever the case may be. But when have did you hear what I said a million times? If you're backup playing, backup's usually just a guy. And Gardner's just a guy. Doesn't mean he can't start places, but he's just a guy. He's just a guy. He's not a guy you're going to give like $100 million to ever. But he could probably start 10 places. But he's just a guy. So he did suck today. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Everything did. So if you think he sucked, then you don't agree with the poll. If it's all on him. But we got to be fair, and he is a backup, okay? And we can't treat play calling wise the same. You can't. Why would you do that to that guy too? Why would you drop him back as many times as you have over the last 2 weeks? Why not give him a breather? And when you did run the ball when you did run the ball a little bit in the third quarter there, you went on a drive.
Things open
right?
up.
And without the holding call, right, you should get 6 there, right? You should lead that drive with 7. You didn't, okay? You end up getting out with only with 3. But you still, you were able to show, like, hey, we could run the football a little bit against them.
Yeah, especially because they're the number 2 ranked defense against the pass, too. And then they got Lattimore back. So you knew Lattimore was going to be on either AJ or Devontae at multiple parts of the game, right? And then you just come out trying to sling it with your backup. I would have been screaming at not running the ball enough, even with Jalen on the field. You know what I mean? But I know Jalen would have ran the ball himself a little bit, right? Yeah. Where Minshew obviously doesn't have that athletic ability to do that, right?
Well, Greg, this is the trend.
Number 2 ranked defense, and you wanted to sling it early. Like, why don't you run the football?
Greg, this is the trend now. This is the trend. We talk about trends that happen. The trend that's happened over the last, I want to say 5+ weeks, is we're always saying, man, we didn't run the ball enough today. Like outside of Jalen, like take Jalen's carries away, right? How many weeks have we said that? Some weeks we've said we ran it well, right? But for a lot of weeks we said, they didn't run enough this week. What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? So it's becoming a common theme.
No, it absolutely is. And it was a theme at times with Doug too, right? So it's not like it's just new. It was a theme going on. And it's not good, especially, again, I keep going back to that backup offensive lineman and just getting continuity and getting confidence in a guy. I mean, he comes from the SEC where they ran the football. Obviously, everyone throws it, but they run the football down the SEC. The guy can run block. You know what I mean? And I actually thought, as you mentioned on Wednesday, I thought coming out of halftime we might have saw Dillard. I was shocked that Driscoll was back in there for the second half just because of how bad he got abused in that first half.
Yeah, I agree. Nick and Shane trying to outsmart opposing teams, find their defensive weakness and exploit it. Andrew, I agree. It looks like that, right? But again, how much of it on execution? How much? And listen, I think this is the elephant in the room here. I mean, this shows you, because when you have somebody special or you have a playmaker, right, or you have a great leader, it makes everybody around them better, right? Yeah. And I think it's safe to say that we have one here in Philadelphia and a guy like Jalen Hurts. He's a winner. He plays winning football. He just does. Doesn't mean he's never going to lose football games. Just he plays winning football. And I think guys, it's weird to say things like guys play harder for him. Doesn't it just seem like that? I mean, even when he came in for Wentz, it seemed like guys played harder for him. Like guys like him more. So, I mean, it's just the way it is. Doesn't mean guys don't like Gardner, but it's like you're almost let down a little bit, right?
Well, usually that's the backup theme, right? You know what I mean? Usually it's that backup mentality of.
Well, because usually the star quarterback got all the money. He's got the girl. He's got all the fame, right? And other guys don't have money, so it's a jealousy thing a lot of times. Then the backup comes in, they rally around running their own, right? Yeah. Okay? But in this case, even if that guy gets all his money, when he does, I don't think he's never gonna walk around like that or treat his teammates like that, right? And I think that's important. It's important because usually, to what we were talking about, usually it is rally around the backup. But I think this football team rallies around their starter more than they do their backup.
Oh, absolutely. And like Greg was saying, he'd still be pissed about not running it if Jalen was playing. And we always talk about, like, I don't know if that's the case, but I always try to, like, the way I look at it when it was going on, when it happens, when he plays, is what a throw. Man, wow, what a throw. When he plays, sorry, I know Tom's, I'm trying not to rub it in. I was just admiring the throw. Jesus.
Of course. Now the guy makes throws, right? Now he's dropping it in buckets.
That was a dart. Sorry. But when he played, like I was saying earlier in the year, like I don't know if that's what's going through in their thought process. You know what I mean? But when we've been yelling for him to run it, even when Jalen plays, it's like at least I can understand that, because when you have a playmaker, it's probably hard. There's probably it's sometimes it's hard, and you have all these weapons when you have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, and you're like, oh man, they're awesome. They're like 2 Porsches out there. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to ride. I don't really feel like riding my scooter here. I want to take the Porsche out. Let the Porsches go for a ride. You know what I mean? So I can understand that when he's playing. You know what I mean? But when Minshew's playing, you got the backup in, run the football against the Saints team that's, you got a backup lineman in and a defense that is vulnerable against the run. So there's no excuses for today. It was just absolutely, disgraceful. And like I said, it starts at the top. There's, everything we listed, like you were saying, you could easily just, been pissed at the defense and not explained yourself. This was what's beautiful about sports radio. And if you have an opinion, you need to explain yourself. And I think both of you did with your, displeasure of the first few drives. I don't think there's anything wrong with what you said there. If you're just tuning in and, they weren't blaming them, they just weren't happy with the first couple drives defensively. All right. But overall, the defense played well. So it lands at the offense's feet. You win as a team, you lose as a team. All right. But, it's Sirianni and Shane and that offense today, for sure.
Yeah, and it's like like you said, when you come into a football game and you don't adapt, right? This is the key thing. Like, you need to adapt to the quarterback playing, right? So if you got to adapt, so if it's a backup and it's this situation, okay, I got to adapt my game plan around what he does well, right? How can I help him out, right? And all those types of things, and they didn't do that. They didn't do that all this week, right? And last week, I thought they did, they ran the ball enough, I think, right? Like, whatever, they threw it well. I don't know. They were fine last week. They were fine, okay? But this week, it looked like they were just trying to be cute. And like Sweep said, when you have those types of guys out there, it's like, oh, let me throw it 50 times. No, it's okay. It's okay to put it. It doesn't have to be Miles. Like, if you don't want to abuse him in a game, fine. For whatever reason, I don't know why you want it when you're trying to finish the job here, but then run somebody else then.
Yeah.
Like, put it in somebody else's belly a couple times. Like, you went under center a few times today. Well, do that on one of the first few drives. But again, in their defense in the first half, they didn't have the ball at all because they couldn't get a first down. So the first half rushes, I can't even look at because you didn't have the ball at all. I mean, I told you an 8-minute drive and a 5-minute drive. Now, you don't have the ball. You literally don't have the ball. There are 2 drives right there. There's a quarter. There's a quarter. Bye. So, right? So you don't have the ball a lot. But you still, when you did rush, you didn't rush it well because you didn't break one. I think you had what? Would they have 4 carries in the first half, if that?
So, yeah, if that.
I think that?
Yeah.
I think it might have been 4. So, obviously not enough, guys, at all. But how many plays did they run?
17.
So, not enough rushes. So when you talk about a backup, you want to be around a 50-50, right? You want to do your best to be around a 50-50, especially in a game where it's closer than it feels, right? Just because you're down 7 or whatever you're down, right, down 10-0, etc. It's closer than it feels, though. You don't have to rush away from your game plan. And I felt like they were rushed out of their game plan today. And that happens. Listen, that happens to coordinators all around the world. So I don't like it, but you can't run from it. If you want to run from it in the second half because you're down 21-0, I got to start throwing the football a bunch. Fine. 10-0, you're not out of a football game yet.
Like I said,
two
times
in the first half.
2 what? Rushes?
2 rushing attempts. And it was in the second drive. Miles rushed 4 yards. Miles rushed 5 yards. 3rd and 1. Minshew sacked out of the shotgun. Out of the shotgun, Minshew sacked on 3rd and 1.
Watch this. This dude gets up because he was untouched and he fumbles the ball. This is incredible. Watch. Oh my God. Sorry. Dude, he untouched, gets up, and I think he thought he was going to spike it or something, and the Pittsburgh guy just knocked it out of his hand.
So 17 rushes or 17
plays, total plays.
2 rushes.
2 rushes.
Yeah, it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
Especially when those 2 connected for 9 runs or 9 yards.
Why is it Tom? Umberto, what did I do? Do you guys remember my original rant when I started the show off? I said I blamed the offense for all the things they didn't do. Did I not, guys? Or am I going crazy? Did I not blame the offense and then get into what the defense did?
Yeah.
Did I not? Okay. I'm just confirming.
Did they give him the ball?
So whatever. Long story short here, that's unacceptable. You got to be close to a 50-50 split there. So, I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know what to say.
Like I said, I don't know how many times we could say it. I don't know how many times we could say it. It was just they were not prepared. That was an atrocious pass. They they were not. Oh my goodness, they just were not. They were not prepared to play today. And it starts at the top. You know what I mean? And you forget about the play calling. Let's just talk about it. We talked about it briefly. In our thread real quick, right? But just every decision Nick made was wrong. All right, there's no reason to accept a penalty. All right, make it third down. Make it third down. All right, they scored a touchdown on that drive. Am I wrong or no? I forget. I don't know if he did. I think they did. Yeah, I thought they scored a touchdown on that drive when he accepted the penalty. It would have been 3rd and 6.
Remember? Yep.
They scored a touchdown. I mean, give him one chance to pick up a first down.
3rd and 6, you're scared about?
Yeah.
I think you're scared 3rd and 6 with your front and your corners.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Don, the problem is, Don, he's not hurt. Listen, there's a conspiracy in the room, in my opinion, is that there's a sprain. There's a sprain, but not enough to keep you out 2 weeks. He could have played this week. And they were just being cautious because they thought they could win without him. Simple as that.
Which is fair.
They
should have been able to win.
True. They read their own press clippings.
But when you come out this pathetic, then this is what you get.
Yeah. You just don't win on paper. You gotta go play it. All right. But it does prove how valuable Jalen Hurts is to anybody out there that hated or didn't think he was a franchise guy or wasn't thinking he was. It was just everything around them was why he was good or why we were good. No, it's a combo. But it shows you that piece of the puzzle, you take that out, you start putting up 10 points. Think about that, people. That's how bad QB play is around the NFL. That Gardner Minshew could probably start on 10 teams, and he's But it shows you how valuable those top 10 to 12 guys are. Those top 10 to 12 guys are so valuable.
Yeah, that air quote system quarterback puts up 35 today.
Yep. No. Minimum, he's putting up 24. You can book that. Yeah. Write it down somewhere. 24, done today. Done. And I had him at 27 because I thought the offense was going to do what they do. I thought like they would do against Dallas. Like they would run the football, they would move it.
Run it.
They would have some big plays, and they just didn't listen. They didn't have enough. They couldn't get out of their own way. I think if they scored that touchdown on that one drive, the holding,
I think that I agree. I think was a key moment.
Yeah, it's not crystal ball, right? I'm not crystal balling anybody, but 13-7 and 13-3 is a big difference, right? And 13-7, and then your momentum's back quicker, right? Just quicker. They needed that to go right. Listen, I never blame a game on a ref that we didn't lose because of him. I wonder how that game changes after that. Like you didn't call back just a first down, you called back a touchdown. It's like you took 7 off of it. Hey, take the 7, take it back, and it was a BS holding call when I can call holding on every play in the National Football League if I want to. So it is what it is. I'm never going to blame a ref for that, like losing us the game. I just wonder how it goes, Greg, to your point, if it's 13-7 and not 13-3.
I think that was such a huge – because, again, that was when we started rolling a little bit. We started to have a little momentum. And then, again, just like the Boston Scott play, boom, shot in the leg. You know what I mean? Like just another knock to knock us back today. And it was a comedy of errors.
Bill, how much you want to bet? How much you want to bet? You put a price down, and I'll put everything I got, and I'll double your price. I'll double your price that we're gonna end up being the number 1 seed. You can book that. We're gonna win next Sunday.
We're beating the Giants, Bill.
We're gonna win next Sunday. Even if the Giants played all their guys, I think we're winning next Sunday. And it's a home game.
Like don't see what they did against the Colts and all of a sudden get scared.
Yeah, now we're going to lose 2 home games in a row too, and we're going to lose 3 games in a row to finish off the season. With Jalen coming back, I don't think so. I think there's going to be some rust with Jalen early, but I think when you can run the football and an RPO set, right, you can knock some of the rust off quick.
Yeah, I don't
big plays,
I don't know. To that point, I don't know how rusty. I mean, that guy's played a lot of football. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think that Rust, I think he's good in practice, like to knock it off. You know what I mean?
I'm talking about a drive or two. I'm not talking about like a you know what I mean?
No, I know.
You're knocking Rust off in a drive or two. Bang, bang, bang.
Well, yeah. Practice game speed's different than practice.
Yes, I hear you.
But he has played a lot of football, to your point. I get what you're saying this year.
He is a professional, and he's in the top 3 of the MVP before, however you want to stack it up, before the injury. So he's playing at an elite level. So
sure.
To your point, where he should be fine.
No, he should be. He should be. And I don't know what the Giants decide to do. I'm sure they're going to rest some guys, and I'm sure there's going to be guys that they play, right? So they'll make educated decisions on that. And this is a big – listen, boys, this is a big 2 weeks for us. Not only Sunday being a gigantic football game, obviously the biggest game of the year, but that game means so much more than just what people want to talk about just being the 1 seed. That game could mean the difference of getting C.J. Gardner-Johnson back and Lane Johnson back or not. So you're playing wild card weekend. There's a chance you don't get those guys back.
Yeah, and I don't care how bad they look at times. I don't want to go to Tampa without both those guys.
I don't want to go to Tampa without Lane.
No, that's it.
I don't want to go. I don't even want to come here.
Lane 100%.
I don't even want to get out of my bed. I don't even want to get out of my bed. I've never seen a right tackle in my history of watching football. In my history of watching football, dictate wins and losses.
He is so important,
like Lane Johnson does. I'm not saying it's just because I'm a biased Eagles fan. It's truly amazing. And I've watched guys like Runyon, right? I've watched some really good right tackles here alone, and around the league. And I don't know if there's a better right tackle in the last decade. I don't know if there's a better one in the last decade. Maybe two. That's meant more important to his football team, win-loss wise.
You just rephrased that. 10 years for sure. 20, I don't know. I'm not trying to be an encyclopedia. There's been a ton of Hall of Fame linemen that are really, really good. So I'd have to really, really look that up. For 10 years for sure. But the key word you said was to your team. To that particular team, you know what I mean? But I mean, obviously the other guys that would be mentioned in that breath are very valuable to their team too. You know what I mean? Yeah. When you got a guy that's not only a road grader, a guy that just protects you and doesn't give up sacks, absolutely. You know what I mean? But also a winner. You know what I mean? So when the guy plays, it's it would be the equivalent to baseball's stupid WAR. You know what I mean? Right? Or was that what it's called? Wins above average? Or
whatever the hell it is. Yeah. I never read on what it was about.
No,
never once said, let me take a peekaboo at that. I said, no, we're going to keep driving on that one. Yeah. I'm good with average, like OPS. Like you can give me on OPS and then all the a couple other little things, right? But then you're losing me with WAR and all the extra. I'm I don't know. I wouldn't even get hired anywhere.
Yeah, you mean when Trout doesn't play, the Angels suck worse? Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's obvious. Thanks.
No clue.
Thanks,
Martian, this is the biggest thing. I mean, the guy hasn't allowed a sack in 3 years, and Driscoll got abused today and allowed a bunch. So it shows the importance of him. But for me, it's like I said, run Dillard out there, who's a known pass blocker. If you want to throw the football like you do, if you want to run the football. Then give Driscoll a chance, like Greg said. Let him get downhill. Let him get his beak wet early. You didn't allow it. This is a loss on the entire football team today, and it's an unacceptable loss. I don't want to hear the Saints are playing for their playoff lives. In reality, they know they're not getting in.
Yeah, they needed so much to happen.
Come on. Come on. Okay? So, you know what it means more to? It means more to us on draft night, too, that you allowed this to happen.
Now we're going to be mid-teens. Now we're going to be mid-teens.
It's a double. You just double lost yourself.
You're probably about 15 now.
Is it that much now?
Give me a second. I'll check right now.
Maybe it is. But you double lost yourself today. More importantly, the 1 seed. All right? But I do like that week 18 matters for us. In a weird ass backwards way, I like that week 18 matters for us. You guys understand? You guys get that? Not that these other 2 weeks haven't, but these other 2 weeks have almost been passes like from the fan base. Like, remember the conversation started. I wasn't a fan of it. Now everybody's got hurt, but the conversation started like, do you let guys breathe against Dallas?
Yeah.
A little bit, right? And I was like, you can't. You got to win this game against Dallas. Then you can breathe the world if you want to. Well, we didn't even win that game, right? Everybody gets hurt. Then we're like, all right, well, it doesn't matter. We'll beat New Orleans, right? Nope, can't be New Orleans. Josh Sweat's getting taken to a goddamn hospital, right? Well, I mean, what's going to happen against New York? I just sat here and said, we're going to beat New York. It's cool. What's going to happen? What's going to happen against New York? Oh, God, my own. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Don't be like a jail and comes back and he's going again. Like, don't you do it. Don't you do it. So, listen, this football team's still very good, okay? Still very good. They got stuff to clean up. They do have leaders around here. My crumb of the week is going to be two guys that haven't shown that type of leadership. But they're still the main voices are leaders. As much as I crushed the defense on the first, 3 possessions today, this defensive front is the best I've ever seen here. And I sat through Reggie, not as a puppy, and they did this in 16 weeks. Makes sense? Like, the numbers they got to were in 16. They didn't need an extra week to prove this point on what they did. And I know it's more of a pass league now, but still, it's impressive. It's impressive. They have that many guys in double digits. They have that many guys who can get after the quarterback. Very impressive. Very impressive.
No, it is.
And kudos to Howie Roseman on the job he's done up front for this football team.
And you almost wish they played better so we could have led with that, right? As I was talking to you, kind of discussing a poll question, I wanted to somehow find a positive way to kind of go in with the defensive line and how incredible that feat is. Not only the total number, but the 4 guys with double digits. But you couldn't overlook the rest of the game part of it. But yes, I mean it's
about the insanity. I mean,
almost BG alone to me is the insanity of the one of them is just because of the injury, coming off the injury at his age, and is still. He had burst today. Not that he doesn't, but he had burst at week 16.
We talk about Achilles as a 2-year.
Talk about
and for an old cat, even longer, right?
Yeah,
right, boys. An old doggy, you're like, this might end his career.
5 straight games with 6+ sacks.
That's insane.
It's hard to do, man. That's my goodness gracious, is that hard to do?
It's never been done. So
why it's a record. That's why it's a record. But geez, it's wow. It's unbelievable.
When you think about the ebb and flow that happens, boys, because we watch all of it, right? The ebb and flow of a season and a week to week, right? Then you might go on a tear for 3 weeks like that, and then ebb and flow creeps in, and then you have 2 games where you have a game where you get none, then maybe a game where you get 1, right? Nobody goes.
That was old Eagles teams. That was the last couple years Eagles teams, right? We talk about, we need pressure. Then the Jets come to town, we get 8. You know what I mean? But then we go away. Those teams went away. This 4 or 8 or however, whatever, they stay after it. You know what I mean? Milton Williams got in on it today. Fletch got in. I know Fletch isn't at 10, but Fletch is at 7.
There's a lot.
Which is a lot for him.
A lot for a D tackle.
And we were all thinking, obviously you guys as Eagle fans, how ecstatic you were back then, but even Moose Johnson said it today. He's like, I still can't believe how they just ended up with Sue and then Bill Joseph. And the same week, nobody else wanted him. Howie was the only guy playing. Everybody else was asleep and he was up at 4 a.m. and he was the only guy playing. It was crazy. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Oh, I want to say one more thing. I'm going to forget it. Greg Miller talking about Hasson Reddick. Greg, he's a horse and a rhino. When they actually stopped dropping him in coverage at the rate they were earlier in the year, and they let him go get the quarterback, this whole thing opened up, and guys were getting sacks in bunches, and he started this whole show because the guy's elite. He's elite, and it shows you how good he is because when he's on the field, he just creates havoc, and he'll make you step up in the pocket. He probably created half of Javon Hargrave sacks just by his pressure coming from behind the quarterback per se. But no, this line is gorgeous. Even if you lose Sweat for a week or 2, right? This line's still really deep. It's good. You don't want to lose Josh Sweat But how many teams can say you can lose a double-digit sack guy and get away with it for a week?
Well, also into that next comment, Robert Quinn's been nowhere. He's about to come back too, and we talked about on Wednesday.
When's he back? When's he eligible to come back?
I think maybe next. I don't know about next week, but I think he would be eligible for the playoffs.
Would he?
But maybe with the injury, maybe he is back next week. I mean, we got nothing out of Robert Quinn.
Doesn't mean Robert Quinn doesn't have something.
Robert Quinn was still. We talked about this on Wednesday. Still top 25 in the last 3 years in sacks.
Yep.
Right? He was the fourth Eagle, but just by proxy because I don't think he had anything with the Eagles. So, yes, Ted, as of right now, we have got nothing out of Quinn. But if he comes back and he gets a little bit of burst, maybe that was the injury, he could help replace Sweat until he comes back to you.
Bill, great question. Great question. It's a question for you three. Honestly, not from what the other one says. I don't know what that means.
He doesn't want us just to all agree. He wants us all to answer.
Okay, you're going to assume people are going to agree with me, Bill? Is that a shot? Because there's a lot of exclamation marks. I'm not a big fan of guys who use too many of them. It bothers me. It feels like you're yelling at me. Would you have?
I'm right
okay,
here.
now after I praise you for a great question, I want to pick the beginning apart. I should have just left that out. But he said, would you have played Hurts today, wrapped it up, and then rest for 3 weeks? Yes. Like if he's eligible, if he's able to practice like he did on Thursday and Friday, like why can't he play?
I would not have.
Well, you're
unless he was 100%. Unless he was 100%. I got a little.
There's three of us, Phil, and there's only a yes or a no. So I don't know what to do with my hands here. So
he's not agreeing with either one of us.
I don't know what to do here. Can I tie, Bill? Go ahead. Love you, Bill. Love you. I didn't think
I'm not yelling.
We love you. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just saying I would not have unless he was 100%. And from a fantasy standpoint, I was glad to see him practicing because it gave me hope that he was going to play. But unless he was 100%, I still wouldn't have played him. Even how today turned out, I would have. I lost a lot of money on the Eagles not beating the Saints today. You know what I mean? Because I still thought they should have.
Sweeps.
Yes, since there's only two answers. I would have played him, and I'll try to explain different than Tommy. I didn't want him. You know how my thoughts were, and it turned into. I didn't. Hindsight's 2020. You're not going back. But I didn't. I wanted guys to sit against Dallas. I'm not even an Eagle fan. All right, I understood the rivalry. I understood all that stuff. I understand, like Tom said, everybody has tape on everybody. That's right. So there's no secrets anymore. But I just thought it was, when you play a team, chance maybe play them again in the playoffs. I just thought some guys were banged up. That would have been the time for me to give some guys a blow. All right, just because you didn't want to go too long with giving guys a rest. You know what I mean? So. To that point, yes, he was obviously, last week was a no doubter. All right. Today I would have played him. All right. You win that game. Now he's got 2 weeks, not 3 weeks. To Bill's point, because you have, would be week 18 and the bye week. All right. And then he's ready to go. So, I mean, I guess maybe Bill's saying 3 total. I guess I'm assuming, but not 3 in a row. It would have been, just a nice little 2 week break. If you can get out of, if you got out of today with a win and unscathed and didn't re-aggravate it or anything, which goes to your point of, turning around and handing it to Miles and coming up with some other better play calls and now without Lane, it probably scares you. To take any unnecessary hits. Without one of your staples on the line. You know what I mean? But the rest of the line is very capable. Obviously, Sands, not Driscoll, but the rest of the line is very capable. Of filling in if things were done properly. So yes, to answer your question, I would have played him today, and then you get week 18 and you get week 18 and round 1 rest another 2 weeks.
Yeah, listen, it's funny to be down so much on a 13-3 football team, right?
Yeah.
It's weird. It's just been a bad 2 weeks, but I just want to keep everybody we're all on the same page, not here on the show, but everybody in the chat and the Eagles faithful out there, is that these last 2 weeks we were without a guy who's a top 3 MVP candidate. That matters. It matters. Like, I know we're playing the Saints and we should beat them, right? We should. Okay. And we're playing the Cowboys. We knew that was going to be a tough one. Okay. And nobody expected to be 0-2. We probably all would have said, 1-1 minimum, right? Okay. Probably as an organization, they said the same thing. 1-1 minimum, give them 2 weeks, right? And we got called with our pants down. All right. Happens, but it shows how important this kid is to us winning. So, Bill, my question back to you is, how concerned are you about next week, right? Given the Giants clinched up. So how concerned are you about next week knowing we get this guy back? Because you can't say Russ if you're okay with him playing this week and then him sitting for a while. Russ shouldn't be a problem for you. So my question back to you is, why? You know what I mean? Why do you
know how concerned Bill is? He's talking wild card weekend.
That's what I'm saying. So why is he concerned when you're getting this type of impact player back on your football team? Like, when you get top 3 MVP candidates in sports, this deep into a season back, you're a lot better.
Oh yeah, at home,
a lot better.
At home against a team is definitely resting guys. I mean, come on, you can't rest everybody. You only got 53 men on the roster. I get it. All right, but the key cogs will not be playing next week. All right, you don't expect, you probably want Danny Dimes to play so he can turn it over, but don't expect to see.
I don't expect to see
him or Barkley. Maybe Thibodeau on the defensive side. Landon Collins, anybody that might be banged up, and they're integral parts. You know what I mean?
No, they are. You just want you hope a couple guys got bruises over there. Not trying to take an easy way to the 1 seed, but it gives me a little bit more time to, as a coaching staff, to clean up some of my mistakes, right? And it gets no. It just as a coaching staff, I can clean up my mistakes, and as players, I can get my body right and clean up my mistakes, right? So it's a double win. It's a double win getting the 1 seed. I never want to hear that's not an advantage. Playing at home will always be an advantage in football. Other sports, I don't buy into it as much. You should be able to go, baseball, I never buy into it. Like, you can go win a baseball game anywhere, I feel like, right?
Well, but all the other sports are series, right? This is the only one that's a one and done, right? So you got to give yourself every advantage that you can, right? You know what I mean? So home field advantage, right? No travel.
You saw it in the Super Bowl run. You know what I mean? Like, the hardest game, was the Falcons game. I was at home. Tommy was there. It's electric. The place is going nuts. You can't hear yourself. They can't get in from the 1 yard line. You know what I mean? If that's in Atlanta, I don't know how it's going. I'm not going to be here. Crystal ball. I don't know how that turns out. There's no elements indoors. You know what I mean? But it was just, that was huge to have that, that home game, against the Falcons, in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. It is. And then Minnesota, obviously, in the whole run. But let me say something about this football team, too, and about every football team. Nobody goes on really to win a Super Bowl too often in sports, right? In football or any sport, a championship, without some bumps, right? Without some bumps in the road. Without some times where your season looks like it's not going in the direction you want it to go in, right? The great teams, the real good ones, they figure it out when the lights turn really on, right? Yeah. They get it right. And I believe this football team's going to get it right. I'm not saying win a Super Bowl, right? I'm saying be able to get to an NFC title game, and then we'll have that conversation after that, right? Right. But I'm not going to let 2-3 weeks change everything I've watched all year and start being like what the dial's going to do to you and other people are going to do to you, and they're going to jam negativity down your throat. This has been a really good football team. This is the football team over the last 2 weeks. Haven't had many things go right for them, okay? And they're doing that without a top 3 MVP candidate. Yeah. So when he comes back, they are who the fuck we thought they were. That's my point. So everybody panicking. Calm down. Calm down.
Yeah, last week was expected. Maybe not everybody, but you expected last week. You're going on the road against a good football team. You probably didn't expect to give up 40 burger. You know what I mean?
No, it wasn't expected.
That hurt. You know what I mean?
Unexpected.
Today, like back to reiterating. I think Greg threw that in there. Like they decided that they can. This roster is talented enough to beat the Saints team even with the injuries. All right, so there's just no excuse for today. That's the bottom line, and that's where that's where they thought. But our point was, all right, even if you had escaped, even if you took care of business today, without Hurts, now you're looking. He wouldn't then. If they took care of business today, he wasn't going to play in Week 18, and then you obviously have the bye. So then you're talking about he hadn't played in a month. There's a little ring rust right there. You know what I mean? Like there's a concern. I don't like that one bit if I'm an Eagle fan. And I know he was having a great year, and he would get his feet back wet, and after for maybe 2 drives or something, things will, it'll be just like riding a bike again.
No, because then everybody's waiting on you. No, because then I feel like your teammates are waiting on you. I hate that. You know what I mean, Sweeps? I hate when I feel like my teammates are waiting on me, like at his level. Like, oh, Superman's coming back. Right, and it's gonna blah 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 blah. Like I sometimes feel like that's a trap too, and a trap in a way where like guys are never. I don't want to say let down, but mentally, the mental side of it, like we got him back, we're gooch. Like so, I let off my gas a little bit, or I let off my attention to detail a little bit throughout the week, or whatever the case may be. Yep. I find that to always be a thing. So I don't like the month off, like you're saying. Like to your point, I agree with you because that's a little bit of a. I probably am gonna have some rust. Right, if you're off 2 weeks, that's fine. I think he's going to come back and play good football against the Giants. Right, then he's off another week. Right, which is okay because then he gets his beak wet. Since you lost to the Cowboys and you wanted to get cute in that football game, right? Like I felt like they were cute in that football game a little bit, but you want to lose that game. I'm almost glad you lost to the Saints because now it forces them you have to play him. Because now, to me, that bodes well whenever I play in the playoffs. If I get beat. And he's got to go out the next week and play, or if I win like I'm supposed to, and we're the number 1 seed, both of those things are a benefit to Jalen Hurts at this point. Both of those things, and this football team, because when we get into the crumb of the week, we're going to explain other things aren't said when Jalen plays. That's all. We'll talk about it. We're going to get into it. This is where on the dial they'll go to commercial, or if you're watching on TV, they would go. We'll get back to you on a commercial break. This is when they would do that. You know what I mean? It might be a commercial break for me to go pee, but besides that, somebody did give us Andrew. Here it is. I still have it up.
Yeah.
What is your panic level at? Me, honestly, and then I'm going to pee, and then you guys answer some questions. But I'm probably at 3.5. Maybe you get me to a 4. You're not getting me over a 4 though. Again, you know what I mean? I think over a 5 is a little aggressive because again, these last 2 weeks you can't look at. Like in terms of your full complement of players. Mm-hmm. Like just your quarterback alone. We know how important that guy is to every football team. No quarterback. I can't be concerned over 2 losses without my top 3 MVP in the league. I can't get like a panic level at like 8. You know what I mean? Like if guys are walking around panic levels at 8 or 9, like check between your legs. Like we're so like we didn't lose these 2 games with Jalen. Like not saying we should lose these 2 games. It's not an excuse to lose these 2 games, right? We all thought we were good enough to, like I said, minimum 1-1.
Yep.
But come on, panic level. Like I said, if you want to go to a 4.5, okay. But 4 is a good number. 4 is a good hard number. But I'm at a 3.5 because I don't even want to go to the 4 because I just told everybody don't panic. Right? I just told everybody not to panic. Now you're panicking? What are you doing, Tom? Are you panicking or not panicking? Joshua says 5. Andrew says he's at a 4. Who asked the questions? Great question, Andrew. Greg Miller agrees, so he's at like a 3.5, 4. I would say then. Philly Matt, great question too, and we'll get into all this in a minute. But he said that you bring Graham back, yeah, because he'll take a hometown discount, not to move. Even with a lot of money, just more bonuses, right? Ishmael, an 8.
Oh,
An 8? What's wrong? What happened? And Dave says he's at a 3. Panic Glove. Ted's at a 0. I love that. JD White's at a 4. Bill says he's at a 9.
What?
Because he's looking between his legs.
Oh.
Look at you. Well done. Well done. Well done, William. Well done, Willie. What a great job out of you. I'm just reading whatever on the prompter. Rob Burgundy. I'm Tom Arnold. Bryce at a 5. Okay. Philly Matt's at a 2. Love that. Love it, a 2. Joseph, A2D member. Make sure you become an A2D member. Link right in our description. Become a member. $9.99 a month. We're going to be doing the wheel minimum once a week. Probably going to be doing twice, too. Because I have some things. I got some ideas. Got some good ideas. I might keep up with the gift cards, too. I might get like the Baggios and all our sponsors. I like that. And then I'm going to diversify my portfolio and go outside the box a little bit, too, on some other ones. Plus all kinds of other things. You know what I mean? Some might just be a Venmo. $100 wheel spin. So we want to take care of you guys. We'll get it all back. But Josh is at a 0. JW's at a 1. So, from reading most of it, it seems like everybody's on the lower side. You guys tell everybody where you're at. And Greg, if you guys can still see the comments, right?
Yeah, we can see them. I can't pull them up, though.
No, but you can still see it. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, Joseph, don't run away from the wheel yet. All right? The wheel will find you, Joe. You know what I mean? The wheel will find you. Bam.
To the question, I'm in a 2. I'm in a 2 until you tell me that either Jalen Hurts or Lane Johnson are out indefinitely and are not back for the playoffs. I'm at a 2. Right? You know what I mean? Like, until those guys, just because of how important those guys, and reality, it's as much as important as Jalen is, it's really on Lane Johnson. Right? Until you tell me Lane Johnson is not coming back for the playoffs, I'm at a 2. When that happens, then my panic meter will rise because obviously we know how important Lane is. We saw it today, but we've also seen it over the length of his career, and it's been well documented about how important Lane is. So until that happens, I'm not taking anything from these last 2 games in terms of what's going to come in the playoffs, right? Yeah. I mean, yeah, sure, I would have loved to get a win today or a win last week. So, yeah, I mean, we're not erasing these games from the memory because they still happen. But in terms of panic meter going forward, until either of those 2 are deemed not coming back and not playing again this year, I'm at a 2.
Yeah, you never want to be. I agree with you. I don't think there's. Yeah, I would say 1 or 2 myself. Because they had 3 shots. They had 3 shots at this. You know what I mean? And you don't want to. You never want to play bad football. You never want to create bad habits. You never want to go through the motions. You never want to know. You never want to. Act like. You don't want to be there or give that feeling and mailing it in. You know what I mean? So I understand all those arguments. I thought they competed on Christmas Eve. I thought today they did not. The defense did in the second half. And obviously that defensive line brought it, like they've been bringing it for, the whole year. So there were certain guys, certain units that obviously, played their asses off today. But, overall it was, today's the one that stings, as an Eagle fan, because today's a killer. Today's a killer. So that's why I say 1 or 2, because now next week, that's when it goes to, I know what you're saying about Lane and that's all great stuff. And you're 100% right, but you go ahead and lay an egg next week at home with 1 seed on the.
I'm with you. Yep.
If Jalen comes back, then it's a 50.
I completely agree.
Because then you end up in the wild card weekend. You lost 3 in a row. You're still banged up, and then you got
on the road to Tampa.
You got to go down to Tampa. That's the Holy Redemption Tour, Batman. But yeah. So I'd say, I'm agreeing with you right now. They had a couple games to play with. They should, you'd like to wrap it up, and today would have been an ideal day to wrap it up. But if you lose next week at home with a Giants team that already clinched and nobody should be playing, then you got big problems. Big problems.
Yeah. Throw Young Wavy. I have a feeling we're going to touch on this again later. I think this has to deal with Tommy's, to your second half of your point here. I think the players thought Jalen Hurts was playing today and instantly got upset that Minshew was the starter. You can hear it in the player's voice, but I'm at a 3 on the panic level. I think that second part of that, if I have to think, reading the Tommy's mind, I have a feeling that bodes into where his crumb's going. Philly Matt 2, because I think Gannon and Shane will be our downfall, but you're only at a 2, so I'll take it. Nick Yak exaggerating again. I don't know where that's to. 5, Nick Yak. He said exaggerating again. Not sure. I don't know. I don't know who. It's probably back when Tommy was talking, but he didn't exaggerate on anything, so I don't know what was going on. 5-star, I just don't understand why we didn't run the ball. Preach, brother. Philly Matt, I ain't worried about injuries because they should be back for when it matters, and I hear you on that one, and that's where Sweeps and I both are. Joseph Theus, member. I have faith. This is my favorite channel. I live in Florida. Joe, where in Florida are you, brother? Philly Matt with Lane Johnson is huge. JW Lane is the best right tackle. Here's another one. Nick Yak, one and done. Okay. We got some critics in here. Burks L, Saints on top. Weren't the Eagles good? Yeah, the Eagles are still good. When you're missing Jalen Hurts and Lane Johnson, the team looks a little different. Here's another question. Where'd it go?
Jalen Hurts, Lane Johnson.
Do you re-sign Bradbury at 17.2, which is market value, or do you let him walk? Interesting.
He's had a great year, so I mean,
he's had a good year. I think him and Slay have also. I think they both combined haven't been great recently. Both of them haven't been great recently, but they both have been played well early in the year. I would try in multi-year to get it little 2 or 3 year dealy to get that number down, or at least be able to back end that or front load it. But you definitely have to think about re-signing Bradbury just because you don't have anything else there right now. Ted, what Sweep thinks about the Dolphins, probably second most talented team in the NFL, and may not make the playoffs?
Yeah, it's disgraceful. Well, that's what happens when you're led by a nerd. You know what I mean? And you do nerd things. You know what I mean? So, and they are talented. So I a great midseason trade for Bradley Chubb. Not going to debate that. Watching Minka, Fitzpatrick, steal that Steelers game with a pick always continues to kick me in the nuts. I know they got draft picks and stuff, and I don't know what that equated to. I just don't have. I don't have the time to put those pieces back together. I know there was a stretch where they were just acquiring draft picks. They had like 17 at one point. So, but yeah, no, I mean, the wide receivers are those two are Waddle and Hill are special. I still don't think they're that they're good enough on defense. So I mean, roster wise, I'm not saying he's wrong. I wouldn't say that the second best roster, but 5 in a row is disgraceful. 8-3, and you're free falling. I mean, whether and 2 was in there for up until the last 2 weeks. So, right, or they even played last week. So just this one.
Yeah, and then you lost Teddy today.
Yeah,
not that that's anything.
He played, early on when they had some losses. It's because when Tua was out, but in this 5-game skid, he played 4 out of 5. He just, he didn't play today. So, so there's no excuse there. He was absolutely atrocious on Christmas Eve, and and here they are. Here they are on the outside looking in. Now you need help. You have to, you got to take care of the Jets. Take care of your business first, but then you also need to see if the Bills are even playing for anything next week, and you need them to beat
in New England.
So you had everything in front of you today, and whether you're in your second string guy, your third string guy, and they and they laid an egg again. So, yeah, no excuses here. Absolutely disgraceful. I just would question the second best roster or the second most talent in the NFL. That's all I would say, Ted. But they have pieces. So, nobody's don't cry for me, Argentina. They got pieces. I mean, I agree with that, but I don't know. I don't know where they stack up.
Barrick's asked, who do you want in the draft? I mean, we got a ton of time to talk about this and specifically, but I'll say this: if we're top 7 and above with the Saints pick, I would like them to go D-line somewhere. I think that the top end of the D-line is that's where the value is right there. If you're anywhere from 10 to 15, that's where some cornerbacks and secondary also come into play. And then with the late pick, best available at that point. If a Bijan Robinson is there at 32 or 30, wherever we end up, sign me up. But I wouldn't hate, because I don't anticipate them re-signing Miles to anything long term. That they're probably going to offer Miles something, but I think it would be just an offer just because. I don't think it was going to be market value, or at least maybe it's market value, but not the length that Miles wants. So that's where I would potentially at 30 or 32, the end of the first round, I would look best available. I also don't hate trading with that top pick either, right? Top 10, top 12, 15, whatever. I don't hate trading back and then stockpiling another pick for next year. Having 2 first rounders, in drafts kind of helps you out a little bit.
Yeah, and I think if you stay in the top 20, I would probably go DB, especially the question we got earlier about if Bradbury walks and you don't want to give him money, then you see if you can find a stud safety or a stud corner.
And to that point, right? That's where they start to creep around. Like you see the DBs in any of the mocks that you really look at, you start to see the DBs start to come around right about 12, right? Yeah, 12 to 20 is when you start to see the Ringo. And I know we got toasted last night, but the Ringo from Georgia, right? Your Joey Porters from Penn State. There's a kid from Oregon out there, right? So in that mid-level is where you start to see the DBs start to come into play. The top half of the draft defensively is very, for those not reaching for a quarterback, is very D-line heavy right there with some studs.
Yeah, and the Eagles are okay in that department.
Yeah.
I mean,
I would sign me up.
You don't want to say no, but
yeah,
that's certainly not their weakness. We don't know who they're bringing back and all that stuff.
Yeah, Richie, they look to move off Slay as a top corner. Can Slay play safety? I don't think he's physical enough in terms of wanting contact. So I don't think that's something you can do with him. But
you gotta walk down in the box and get your beak wet. I'm not sure if that's
his style.
I don't think that's him, buddy. I think
he's not going to back away, but it's not him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not like he's Dion out there where he's like anti-tackling, right?
Yeah,
or Asante. Sorry, I should be more Asante Samuel. Will not tackle anybody.
He just doesn't want to, but he will. Kaiser, Kaiser Wall.
We talked about.
Go ahead, Greg. Go ahead.
No, I said we talked about this with the Josiah Scott thing, right? Like losing CJ Gardner Johnson is so huge to that whole back half of the field. Right, we talked about Slay not been great the last couple of weeks. Bradbury got toasted a couple of times today. Hasn't been great the last couple of weeks. They've been all serviceable, but we're so quick to forget that you have a rookie Reed Blankenship, next to Omar Epps, and Omar Epps is fine, but that he was fine when you had CJ back there, right?
Yeah.
That loss of CJ was so huge to that back half that it allowed those guys to do different things because he was there.
That bails guys out. You know what I mean? Yep. Town bails out things around it. So I mean that's just easy. It's just easy. When you lose too much of it, it starts not bailing out. And again, they weren't horrendous today, but it just goes like long term trying to win. But what I was gonna say is it just shows people how important like each year is, right? Like each year to a football team. It's different than in like maybe baseball, but each year to a football team's a little different because your roster is always going to change a little bit,
Yeah.
right? Baseball it does, but your majority's back usually, right? Like your majority's back, and you might add some pieces, right? But the usual like flip over an entire roster doesn't really happen. But when you have like the kind of decisions this team has, which is a lot, right? That's sort of the NFL. It's sort of the NFL where you like year in, year out, you got some big decisions to make, right? And you got holes to fill and you got needs, right? Every time they do the draft, every team that drafts, they mention what needs they have, right? Even in like the 7th round, like still need, you know what I mean? They still need this. So you're always going to have needs, but each year is important, especially when you're playing at, when you were playing at a high level, right? As a football team, this year is important because you might lose guys, right? You don't know how much longer you have with Kelsey. You don't know how much longer you have with Lane. So you don't know. So your window is right now. Are you going to get 10 plus X out of BG if you brought him back again? I would bet the under on that, right? But so you get an opportunity and you're playing high level football. You got to go take care of it, and that might not be like winning a Lombardi, right? But hey, maybe being NFC representative. Right? Like, I mean, I'm going to be upset if we lose, right? I'll be upset if we lose, but I'll also be happy. Like, it's still an accomplishment. It's still an accomplishment as a young football team, which they are, outside of what some pieces they can be losing.
Yeah.
Because there's replacements waiting too. Like, Kaiser goes, okay, N'Kobe plays. Not mad about it. And then you have 2 first-round picks.
Good.
To come contribute day one for your football team. So now a young team should just get younger and better. Should. But Joseph, thank you so much for that. That means a lot.
Thanks, Joseph.
Best content on YouTube.
He's from Tampa, by the way.
Thanks,
He's
Joe.
originally from Philly, but down here in Tampa. I'm in Orlando, Joseph.
Don't want to be mad at you, Joe. Had my opportunity. And I decided to move 3 doors down from people. You know what I mean? So I had my opportunity for palm trees. And I chose a different course,
There's a band named 3 Doors Down. Oh,
It's one of my favorites.
good one.
CJ, Andrew CJ, and I love, and I know how important TJ is, but I think CJ is more important. Like taking the football away is important. So if he can take a football away at an elite level, that guy's more important than a guy with 100 tackles. Not that TJ's grows on trees. But the Kobe is a middle linebacker. Like the Kobe can play the Mike. So
I don't think you can let both Kaiser and TJ walk though.
You can't. Not looking to.
Yeah.
But we mentioned you signed one. He's asking a different question.
No, absolutely.
When we did the game, we were bringing back minimum one of those guys.
Yeah.
Gun to my head, it's always going to be TJ over Kaiser.
Yeah.
Because you don't walk into 120. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think he's got the most tackles. I think they said it today, like most tackles in the last. I don't know. I forget what the stat was, but he broke a record over this year.
Oh, this is interesting. Richie says Slay's cap hit is $22 million before June 1st, and just over $3 million after that in 2023.
Yeah, no, he's got an opt out. He's got an opt out this year, and yeah, that cap hit. That's a guarantee. So Richie, it's definitely
that's not being paid.
Slay's definitely going to be a name you're going to talk about in the all season.
Yep, that isn't being paid. just want to confirm that with everybody out there. That 22 mil, absolutely not. Nope. So that'll be a restructure. That's a restructure waiting to happen from Howie, right?
Oh yeah,
right. He's got to free that up.
Or you're paying, to I forget who brought up the question. Or you're paying Bradbury the market value at 17.5. You know what I mean?
Jesus.
Because you can't lose both your starting secondary, your starting cornerbacks when you have nothing in the cupboard.
No, if you're in the business to win right now and your window's now, and you have 2 first-round picks, and it's not like you've mortgaged anything, which means you have first-round picks every year, right? Your window to win is like 5 years. Yeah. So why not sign Bradbury and Slay, right? Or not Slay, but like Why not sign Bradbury back, right? Draft a young corner at some point. You can draft a young corner in the second round, right? You know, and let him grow. Let him grow for a minute and breathe and get better, right? And develop him. Okay, so Jonathan Gannon, if he's here, he's here, right? If not, the next guy up is going to be a disciple of him, right? Who are cornerback guys and seem to get more out of their corners. So there's nothing, you know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with bringing in replacements when you sign guys like we did when in the Andy days, right? So, you know, you don't have to use first round picks on those guys either. Like you can go second and third. And if you draft well, you can get players. You know what I mean? You can get players. You just need one draft where you hit on like 4 cats. And this becomes like you start talking about like a dynasty team. You know what I mean? You get if this team hit on 3 out of 4 players, like in next year's draft, watch out. Because they're young. They're not an aging team. They are in some key positions, sure. But you have the replacement for Kelsey. I don't think you have the replacement on your roster. Well, I know you don't for Lane Johnson. So
no.
Not that Jurgens is ever going to be Kelsey, but it's a high caliber center draft wise, right?
Well, you know what I mean? Yeah, and to your point there, right? So if Jurgens turns out, you would expect this last draft to hit at least 3 out of 5 because you got Jordan Davis, Jurgens, and Dean.
You would hope that's a hit.
Your previous draft in 21 was Smith, Dickerson, Williams, Gainwell.
Yeah, that's your best draft.
Patrick Johnson. Yeah, Tyrann Jackson. I mean, you're going late, but those guys are currently playing on the team. You know
that's how he's best draft because of Devontae.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you get a guy like that. What's he over? He's over 1,100 yards now. You know what I mean? In say 16 games, that's probably almost 80 catches, if not more than 80 catches. I mean, that's absurd. Absurd second year. Absurd. And shows he does it with either quarterback. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I said he should change his Twitter handle to always open too. You know what I mean? Like, you know, 1K always open for AJ.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you know, I think Devontae should change his. I'm always open too.
Always open too.
Always open too. So I mean,
yeah, he's 11-29 now with the 100 over today.
11-29, 16 games is and how many receptions? Over 80?
88.
It's a monster 16 games. Skull Jacket talk coming soon.
I mean, you have. I mean, he's going to be.
You put that up for 10 years.
He's going to be low 90s after next week. You know what I mean? At a minimum, he's going to get 2 catches.
Yeah, I still don't know how he doesn't. I still don't know how he doesn't essentially break on half the hits he takes. Yeah. It's amazing because the guys drive him too. They get excited to tackle him, but he's got great body control. So he seems to be able to like wear him well. And if, like I said, you play 8 years at those numbers. Can't get it ready. 8-10 years. You know, that's monster. That'll get you in. Might be the only thing. I might run that tape for 40 years after it. You bet my funeral running it.
It'll be part of the montage.
Yeah. Remember when he said this? All right. Players in the game. Well, that's one, right? I mean, that's one. That's the only offensive guy you can give a game ball to. I know AJ had a great grab. He threw the guy into the first row.
He did.
He launched him, which I love the physicality because they're a physical group back there.
Yeah, so, they were handsy on him.
Oh, they're handsy at everybody. You know, nobody's more handsy than Lattimore. And there was a lot of questionable no calls.
He's a pass interference on every play.
I mean, he was on the one. Later in the game, not the pick, but the one before that he deflected, but he like literally went through the guy's back to get there. Yeah. Like, and the guy's like, well, he's allowed to right to the football. Well,
no, he was asking that. That's what I'm gonna say.
Like, he was asking, and then
he was agreeing with you. He was saying, I think that's interference. I think Moose Johnson said that.
Moose said.
But is that he would need an explanation? Is he entitled to the ball there?
Yeah. Moose did. Moose did say that.
You can't go through a guy.
No, and I was waiting for to get Dan Blandino on. Like, hey, Dan, you know what I mean? Mike Pereira. I was waiting for the call in, and I was like, okay, we're not going to call in on this. But no, Saints fans cry about pass interference, so away. Yeah. But you can't go through a guy's back before the ball gets there. That's common 101 since pass interference was invented. So, Richie, I don't know. But again, we see that Lane is prone to missing time. I'm going to say it again this week. I think you're smart as an organization if you run Andre Dillard out there. You're going to show me something as an organization this week. It's not a shot at Jack Driscoll. He's more your third string right tackle, left tackle, swing guy. He can't be your two. I watched him get abused too much. You know what I mean? I feel like he's gotten abused more than I would like. Okay? Doesn't mean he doesn't have good games, but he more gets abused than doesn't get abused. So let Dillard get a run. He's a first-round pick, for Christ's sake. What do you got to lose in week 18? You think he's going to be more of a turnstile than Driscoll was this week? He's always been a good pass blocker. So let him try to get a run, man. What do you have to lose? I know it's like a name that everybody's going to laugh at because of the projection, but he's had a better career than Jack Driscoll. Let's be fair, as he's supposed to, but he has. So why do we clamor over like fourth-round guys sometimes? You know what I mean? Like I'm not clamoring over either one. Well, let's at least play the higher pedigree guy that has the side of being a great pass blocker.
Especially if you're gonna throw the ball 800 million times.
If you like to throw the ball, I need guys that are real handsy, and he is. He's not a good run blocker. That's probably why he's never panned out so far in this league. But I would rather have a good pass blocker in today's NFL than a run blocker in today's league. I'd rather a guy who can stop a guy from killing my quarterback.
Yeah.
So
that would be ideal.
Yeah. But defensively, I think you just give it, you guys got other stuff. I would almost give it out to the line as like a whole. Like that's the most deserving part of a game ball defensively for us. And
I would have said Hargrave, 8 tackles, a sack. Yeah, I mean, but yeah, as
he had 8. He had 8.
4 and 4. Yeah, 4.
Still, round your beak for 8 of them. That's a good time.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of that.
Help with first solos.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's trying to get paid.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, he's going to clean up. Somebody's going to give him a ton. Offensively for them, I'll give it to Taysom Hill. I mean,
it's funny. Like his stats won't blow you away, and this is Taysom Hill in a nutshell, right? But he did literally everything.
But he impacted the game in so many different ways.
He did.
Even if it was like a first down run that just felt like you abused like 4 guys on that run.
Well, he had there's 3 straight plays on that first drive. He had the 3rd down play where we stuffed him. Then he had the 4th down play, he got it, and then he had the 1st and goal play.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was the first drive. And then he comes out slinging. He's 2 for 2 with like 30 yards.
Everything.
He had a catch. I mean,
he had a catch.
The ultimate
Swisser. Yeah. Yep, he's a Swisser. He's in the Alps.
He's a problem.
He's in the Swiss Alps.
Yodelay-hee-hoo.
And then next week he won't see the field, right? Except for special teams.
Yeah, that would him in fantasy. Tight end eligibility. Okay, then we won't play him.
Yeah, no, we won't play.
Yes, kid, I do think he's back by the playoffs. There's a chance probably of this week, but we'll see how they want to take that chance when you're talking about his type of injury. I would just get him right, man. Get him right. Because that's a different type of injury. You don't want that. You don't want a kidney to open back up.
Yeah.
I'm not making a joke of it. You don't want that to open back up. But man, now I had something and I lost it. So that's fun. Trying to think where I wanted to go before we got into our crumbs.
The Niners fan making fun of barely beating the Raiders. Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Niners are a good football team. I mean, nobody's going to run from that. So, when you get into the playoffs, you got a lot of good football teams. When you get into baseball playoffs, you have a lot of good baseball teams. NBA, maybe a little more watered down, right? But okay, most sports, even NHL, because 8 seeds can win it, right? You have more competitive. It's a more competitive field. So when you get in the playoffs, it's anybody can win it. Anybody. And sometimes it's the hottest team. Sometimes it's the best team overall entire year, right? Sometimes, right? So it's hit or miss, right? It's hit or miss. Nobody knows how guys are going to go. Yeah. Like everybody assumed all year, Patriots will just. Not the Patriots. The Bucs will just turn it on in the playoffs. Well, will they? You know what I mean? Will teams that have struggled or had major ups and downs all year that get in, will they just turn it on? Packers are playing great football, but the Packers are going to, a team that never gets past the NFC title game, are they just all going to start turning it on and get past one? Right? Niners haven't won a big one. Are they just going to win a big one now? Nobody knows. Is it going to be an Eagles year? Is it a Cowboys year for the first time in 30 years, it feels like? Right? So whose year is it? It's hard to answer in the NFC. AFC, that picture's a little bit more painted. Right? Who your big dogs are. And then you got maybe, in my opinion, 2 sleepers in the AFC. 2 and 2. 2 your big boys and maybe 2 sleepers.
Yeah, I hear you. I thought the NFC was, little injuries have shaken up the last couple of weeks. You know what I mean? But I still think the NFC there's only a couple really good NFC teams too. So the Packers are making a cute run at it. You know what I mean? But
we know their MO.
Yeah, we know. It's a cute story. I mean, they might get there. They just got to, they'll have to beat the Lions, who are playing well. So, they do now. They put themselves in a position to control their own destiny, and there's nothing better than that in anything, not just sports, in life. Control your own destiny. You don't want help from people, right? Because you probably aren't going to get it, right? So, for them, kudos to them. You know what I mean? They've been playing well the last month. The Vikings are the Vikings. I thought they were a fraud all year, so it's no surprise that they got they got Dore today.
They're a fraud.
And I like the Niners, but to your point, I would have concerns with Brock Purdy. You know what I mean? I know he's doing enough right now, but if you expect to get to the Super Bowl, I don't think Mr. Irrelevant's the answer. You know what I mean? I don't want to knock the kid. He came in, he's filling in pretty well. You know what I mean?
No, it's a cute story to get you to a title game.
Realize how you miss somebody until they're gone. You know what I mean? They didn't want Jimmy G, all right? And then they were glad they had him. You know what I mean? And then now they realize how important he is. You know what I mean? The guy's, he's not sexy. He's not going to throw up big numbers, but
you're sexy, no.
He's a winner. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he gets a lot of fucking points. You know what I mean? He's a lot of dong too out there. Yeah.
In San Fran, you never know.
He's hanging dong on it. But yeah, so without him in the equation, I don't know. But and it's a good defensive team. But you see, Garrett Stidham threw it all over them today. So it's a good defense. So very good defense, especially. So anything can happen. Anything can happen. But I agree with you. There are the 2 monsters in the probably 3 monsters in the AFC, and then everybody else.
Yeah, who am I missing? When I said 2, I thought I was missing one.
Bengals.
Yeah. I always leave them.
Chiefs. And I fully expect the Jags to win next week. The Titans will win.
Jags are working themselves into a sleeper, not to win anything, just to upset somebody, right? Like not upset because they're a division winner, but in reality, upset somebody.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Shit.
Well, when you're a 500 division winner, then
that's what I mean. You're an upset. You're an upset city.
Probably both of those teams, depending on like you said, depending who goes there. Like if Baltimore goes to Jacksonville, they'll be favorite. So that's an underdog. And if Dallas goes to Tampa Bay's an underdog. Absolutely. So to both your points right there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and listen, I think the Eagles get it done next week. We'll obviously talk about it more on Wednesday's show. We'll give our predictions throughout the week as we see how the week goes a little bit here. But I think they win this football game. But getting in the crumbs is I had a problem with the way Darius Slay was so quick to let you know that it was Josiah Scott last week. Like he couldn't get it out of his mouth quick enough. All right, that's supposed to be a leader. All right. Okay. Happens. Because it's easy to be a leader when things are going right. Okay. It's easier. When the mic's in your face and things are going right, it's easier. When you lose a game or two, right? It's a little harder. A little harder to be a team guy.
Oh, yeah. Adversity, it makes you a man. You know what I mean?
Well, today, a guy who I think is a grown-ass man, A.J. Brown, who I thought ran a lazy-ass route, by the way. Lazy. Some things that Titans fans have mentioned, a time or two, who've watched him time in, time out. They're never going to question how talented he is, right? Nobody's questioning that. I'm questioning a lazy-ass route. And you were quick to say, well, Marshawn called it out. That's cool. You're bigger than Marshawn Lattimore, all right? He called it out, and Gardner never looked at me. Why didn't he look at you? I don't know. He never looked up. Like, you're so quick to put that, like, yeah, that's a bad ball. But you're so quick to just throw it on a quarterback that you can't be a man and say, yeah, like I think they knew that was coming. I should have probably ran through it more, because we didn't get it done. We're on the next week, whatever, right? But these guys over the last 2 weeks, two guys who are leaders of this football team, are quick to say something about somebody else. We all watch. We know whose fault it was, right? I know Josiah Scott wasn't where he was supposed to be. I also know, Darius, you're playing 25 yards off the line of goddamn scrimmage, right? Or 15, joking around 25. But you're playing like 12 to 15 yards off the line of scrimmage there. Where are you going? Right? Wait, why'd you stop running? What are you worried about on 3rd and 30? You run with T.Y. Yeah, we know Josiah Scott. That's you. You got over top there. Right? Okay, this week, we knew Gardner, hey, bad ball. Bad ball. But AJ, you were lazy right there. Yeah. So when guys get like, you don't know football or it was this guy's fault, like those guys need to look in the mirror because you play a part in that role. Usually when you deflect that quick. Like when you deflect that quick, you can't get it. You see what happened? Did you guys watch tape yet? Right? Like when you're that quick, you played a role in that. So AJ, you played a role in that pick, or maybe it isn't a pick. Right? You cut across, you're physical like you are, maybe it's a PI. Who knows what happens? All right, yeah. But you gave up on a route.
Yeah.
Right? Darius, you gave up on the 3rd and 30. You stopped running.
Yeah, so, and I was thinking, I'm with you. I just take it a step further. I thought his body language and I thought his attitude and his leadership was horseshit all game. You know what I mean? He was taking his helmet off and F-bombs. They had a hot mic the one time and everybody was quick to say, oh, AJ Brown's very frustrated, and then he made the big play and then everything's with smiles again, so it's like, hey, everything's great. You know what I mean? So yeah, I agree with you. It shows, in any sport, in any walk of life, it's easy to be on top. It's easy to be on top of the mountain, and look down and say, look at me, I'm the king, but it's tough to, when you fall down that mountain and you're at the bottom, with everybody else and people are, laughing at you and making fun of you, whatever, just an example, it's like, it's a true test of your character to keep it together when you're down, and you're having 2 losing weeks and, this game wasn't over yet. So that's what makes it even worse. So, you lost one game in essence, today's game, you were still playing, you were in it. You know what I mean? Like, so I understand getting frustrated, but I would go talk to him. I would say, hey, this is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing this. I'm seeing something, that's, whatever, be helpful. I'm not saying that he didn't do some of that stuff. I'm not there, but you can just tell by guys' body language. We tell our kids all the time as coaches, right? The first thing I see when your body language is piss poor, I'm going to come get the ball. All right. I'm not looking at it anymore. All right. Come sit down next to me. Right. And if more pro coaches, if it happened more in professional sports, we would see different results, I think. You know what I mean? But it's just, they just let them be. That's what they do. No. Come have a seat right next to me. So it is what it is, but to your point, I didn't like it either.
No, and I'm an AJ guy, and I'm a Darius guy. But I'll say something about Darius is like and Greg knows it more, and Sweeps probably remembers it too, I would think. But like when we signed him, I wasn't like run down Broad Street. He's good. He's good. I'm not saying I said he's good. Always will say he's good. I don't know how great he is. I think people make him a little bit better than he is at times. But like people said, since week 9, he's been atrocious. Like atrocious. Like really bad. Like pass rating's like 130 against him. That's not ideal as you're getting to 32, 33 years old, right? Not ideal when you're a $22 million cap hit and that can turn into 3, right? Like not ideal. So time's his. You know, you call yourself big play Slay. I said that year 1, right? Where are all the big plays, right? Year 1, I said it, I got crushed. Year 1, I said it. Year 2, made a million big plays. Million and 1. Okay? This year, did a little bit early on. He has not made big plays recently. So, you know, I'm just telling you how it is, Dad. I'm not mad at you, but I'm mad at you deflecting because you know you haven't been good enough. Okay? And AJ, you're always good enough because you're a monster, but you can be better. That's the problem. Devontae gets more balls because he probably runs harder routes all the time, right? Because he probably grinds out those routes a little bit better than you do, right? And that's probably why he gets more targets sometimes, right? But AJ should be getting 20 targets a game because he's bigger, faster, and stronger than everybody. Yep. You know what I mean? So part of your targets is you being lazy on routes. And it's a perfect example. People, it is okay to tell your players that's not okay here. You think this is Tennessee, babe? This ain't Tennessee. Right? This ain't that fan base. We run routes here up around here. We don't for who for what around here. That didn't age well. We ain't for who for what. And run the damn route hard and give your quarterback a chance. That's unacceptable today. Bad ball, unacceptable from a star. From a star. I demand a better route from everybody. We get on Quez Watkins for routes.
We crushed Quez last week.
We crushed Quez for shitty routes. So we ain't going to. And Quez had maybe 2 of the worst routes I ever saw today on his targets. But we're not going to crush our best, air quote, best wide receiver. Like Devontae, the only guy who shouldn't get crushed. Devontae makes catches that AJ should be able to catch balls that go in the 3rd row. He's so big and strong. You know, like Devontae's the only guy who just runs his routes, goes hard. You don't see him bitching, yelling, moaning all the time. Like Sweeps is right. AJ's hot and cold to me. You know, if he's not engaged early in your offense, it seems like he gets a little diva. Yeah, a little diva when you're losing like you were today. Like you can't have that in the playoffs, AJ. We're gonna have a big time slant called. I don't care if the whole Saints team yells out slant. Right? But you lied and said you were doubled. You weren't doubled. You weren't doubled unless you're considering a linebacker over the middle shading over that way. So what? Go run through it. Need better. There's my crumbs.
Yeah.
Real quick before you go, Sweeps.
Yeah.
Niner for life. You lost to the Bears, Broncos, and Falcons. Quiet.
Yeah, come on, dude. You guys don't have the best defense of all time. I just want to make that clear to you, too. Bears,
Broncos, Falcons.
Very good defense, extremely good defense. Right? I mean, Fred Warner's best middle linebacker in football. I get what they got. Bose is a monster. But their secondary's solid. Okay? So I just don't want to act like they're like, you know, we're talking about Ravens.
They're good. But
but they're not like the listen. Until they do it, they're not the Ravens. They're not the Bears of the day. They're not those types of defenses until they go do it. The Seattle, like until you go win it, you ain't on the caliber of those types of defenses.
And we got Tommy's favorite. You got Tommy's favorite coach in Shanahan over there, so we know how that's going to age.
Not well.
Sorry, Sweeps.
No, you're good. But I just real quick. I know we're wrapping up. For me, it's Wofford University and their AD and their athletic program.
Wofford University. I can't wait to hear this. I don't know what happened.
No, it's just they let their coach go and without, like I said, we'll preface it with, hey, this is what was released. All right, if there was anything that's I will make another video and I'll rebuttal if something comes out where it was something egregious, you know what I mean? But it doesn't look like that. They didn't report it. If it was something like, hey, listen, the contract, conduct detrimental to the team or the university, and he was relieved of his duties. Yeah, absolutely. All right, but this is a guy that won the Skip Prosser Man of the Year award last year. You're a high character guy. That's they don't just throw the award out to anybody. You know what I mean? So yeah, he doesn't have any Bobby Knight qualities. I don't believe he's not doing anything like that. So apparently multiple players went in to talk to the AD and say, hey, listen, we don't want to play for this guy anymore. You know what I mean? And their concerns over practice time and some other issues. And, I don't know what the other issues are. You know what I mean? Maybe it's playing time. We live in a day and age where everybody goes in the transfer portal. So why wouldn't you just do that then? All right. The more, why I have a problem with the AD and anybody that's making this decision, if it's not anything that's, like I said, physical contact or anything that's absolutely egregious, then absolutely. But if it's something where, hey, kids aren't happy, they don't want to play for this guy. You got recruited to play for the school. You obviously wanted to play here. You accepted a scholarship. So now if you don't want to play, either walk out the door or have a seat on the bench, and we'll see if we have enough guys. All right. It's a bad precedent. And I know we're in 2023, but it's 2022 and this generation in a nutshell. All right. If you don't get, if you don't get your way, or, then you take your ball and leave. And listen, I understand. So, on the surface, that's what it is. If it's something else that comes out that's absolutely, something that warrants me to crush him, absolutely I will. All right. So it's what tune into A2D radio, because you're going to get real stuff and you're going to get accountability and you're going to get responsibility. All right. So if something comes out where it was bad news there and it was warranted, absolutely. Next week I'll stand up and I'll look right in the camera and apologize to AD and the athletic department. All right. But if you're talking about practice time and playing time and you don't like this guy anymore, then that's a bad precedent, and shame on you, Wofford University. So, we'll see if anything else comes out about it.
Yeah. Good one.
Love it. I'll stick with the college ranks. We could always go with our good buddies, Big Game Jim Harbaugh, but I'll save him this week. I'm going to go to another fraud.
Yeah, you can just use him again next year.
Yeah, we'll use him again. I'm going to go to another fraud. Steve Sarkisian video comes out that there's a network or stadium attendant that is standing in front of the team before they're coming out. He's got his hands up. Obviously, the players are ready to come out. His hand goes on to Sark to keep him back, and Sark decides to go right up in his face and tell him to get his MFing hands off of me. Don't you effing touch me, to a guy who's just in a headset, just doing his job. Sark, who are you?
Yeah.
Steve Sarkisian, who are you?
Yeah, you're a former alcoholic.
Who are you? You're a former alcoholic on like your eighth life.
That's what I'm saying. Getting chances and chances. You understand? So
be happy you're in that position.
Yep.
Be happy you're even there. I mean, Texas. I mean, you didn't win the game either. Like you're gonna have that attitude to go out and blow out.
Yeah, you
blow
were
out Washington.
Yeah. Without Nick Saban, you're out of football. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
down there.
Nick Saban, absolutely.
Little cutie pie. Here we go. It's put him under my wing and come on down, Sark. You know what I mean? And maybe you only drink half a bottle of whiskey. All right, and then you don't have any. I know you had a lot of problems as a head coach. I'm not real thirsty, I know, but I hear you. I got no problem when people don't respect. I was taught at a young age. You respect the janitor as much as you do the CEO. You know what I mean? It's just you treat people how you want to be treated. You know what I mean? Like you're not that jazzed up, Sark. You're not that jazzed up to take the field to lose to Washington. Oh, by the way,
you're not that good of a coach.
Yeah.
You're not that good of a coach, and your team's not that good to bail you out. Not that you winning would have done anything different. No. You're still a scumbag,
and you're not playing.
You're still a scumbag, but to do that to somebody who's there just doing their job is completely uncalled for. And I'm glad it's caught on tape, and I'm glad people saw it.
Yeah, and you're not playing. So I don't know why you're all fiery.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just going out to coach. Doesn't mean you shouldn't be fiery, but like not to, not the
Yeah,
workers. and stuff.
not screaming at someone's face.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's a steroid move. Like you're a coach.
Oh yeah, that's Lattimore.
Yeah, I mean, like,
What tone are you trying to set besides uncomfortability?
I mean, like, play the table. Like if you want to, if Sark, you started headbutting dudes with helmets on, then I'd be like, oh yeah, okay, this guy's jazzed up.
Guy's ready to go.
This guy's foaming at the mouth. You know, I mean, I have to make this guy piss in a bottle. But you shut the hell up.
Like Baker. Yeah. It's like the only person I can think of modern day that's headbutt people with a helmet on. Fucking idiot. But no, it's true. Like if he's down there headbutting guys, and you're like, okay, this guy's fired up. He's ready to play with us, right? But like you're yelling at like an attendant or something, like being a jerk off to somebody. Like as a player, you're like this guy's a fucking clown. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to play for this guy. Like think about that. I mean, that's all. Listen, you're as good as in college football. You're as good as the guy leading the pack. Right, because the guy leading the pack is the guy recruiting you. So it's different. It's a different animal, right? We always talk about that. Different animal than the pro game. The head coach is even more important to me of what kind of culture you have in college football.
Yep.
Because it goes off of what kind of players are you looking for. That's what I'm gonna be interested to see about Prime at Colorado. What kind of players are they interested there for? Who's going to be on his staff there? Besides the guys I already know, so I'm really interested to see what kind of former player staff they put together there, because obviously it's bigger money than Jackson State. Will draw more guys that way, almost sort of how like Detroit's done, with Dan Campbell for Don out there. How they build, they build a coaching staff of former players. So, I don't know where I was going with all this, but that's cool. But it's all, college football is all more about culture. So, next Monday, obviously, is the national title game between TCU and Georgia. Who would have thought the one side of it? Still can't believe it. But listen, it's the way it goes. It's why 8's going to be fun. It's why 8's going to be exciting because you're going to get more and more upsets. So,
absolutely, and they're getting getting 14. So give me that 14, dude. Because I mean, people keep doubting this team. You know what I mean? And we know, Michigan, took a shit. 2 pick sixes, and then obviously the refs.
But they were flying around the football.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I don't take anything away from TCU. I'm just saying, like, when you pick sixes, that's a great job by the defense. So I mean, that's not like. As I said, it's not taking anything away from them, but they got a senior quarterback that finished second in the Heisman. I expect them to compete. You know what I mean? And I was not impressed with Georgia last night. They got out of Dodge, and that's survive in advance. You know what I mean? But that's that was Iowa State took it to them.
No, they did. They did.
Which is surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're talented, but I'm saying after watching the Michigan game, I would have thought that Georgia would have found a way to expose those weaknesses that Michigan obviously did. And kudos to Ryan Day, and I mean he still lost, but kudos to the Day and the coaching staff. They had Ohio State ready to go. CJ Stroud looked really good yesterday.
He did.
No, he did. I mean, if Marvin doesn't go out, who knows how that game goes. That's a huge loss for them. Yep. Both of those two football teams are good. They're deserving to be in it. And now you look at it, and this is why you would love 8 because you would like a team like Bama to be involved in it. Even though it's a down year, it's not a down year for most programs. Just a down year on their standards.
From their standards, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
a couple right? I mean, there are 2 losses.
Yeah, you put the top 8 teams in here. This is you have there's some conversation. Like there's some upset conversations that can literally happen. And I just think I think this helps with the transfer portal too, guys. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think it slows it down a little bit. The more schools you can give an opportunity to win something at major, the less you have moving.
Yeah, it's the time
outside of guys just scared to compete, right? There's always that.
No,
but
right.
Usually, if you're good enough, you stay somewhere, you'll get your opportunity, either a junior, senior. You'll get your chance to go prove how good you are and get yourself drafted, aka Joe Burrow, right? So, if not he didn't stay one place, but you guys get the reference. One monster year, here you are, you're a first round pick, right? So there's ways that if you're good enough, you're going to get your shot.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's like I said, you hope it makes for a little more parity because it's been the same 4 teams, for like a decade now. You know what I mean? Clemson was, down this year, but usually they're in it. You know what I mean? And obviously Sunshine helped them stay relevant. You saw them take a decline.
Yeah.
At the quarterback position. So we'll see if this kid Kublik's ready to take the next step. He got his feet wet in this game. Their offensive line is atrocious. I mean, for a team that's been in the top 5 pretty much for the last decade. Everybody gets hit with injuries and graduation. I get all that, but that Clemson line was a disgrace. That was kid was running for his life all night.
Yeah, we assumed they would have reinforcements coming in, but I don't think you should stop with 8. I think you can get yourself up into the 12 mark. And I think that would be my last number is 12.
Yeah, I think that's what they originally said, right? I think that's
8.
No, I think 12 was the last thing I heard because and I was wondering how they would do that, but then it was like then I did look it up. It was like four buys, like the top 4 get a buy, and then the 8 play. So then 8 takes it to 4, and then you play the 4 teams that got a buy. So the 12 is the last I heard. I mean, it might have changed. It might have changed.
No, I mean if it's 12,
I'll expand to 12 and to 24, 20, and in time for 24 and 25 seasons.
Apologize to you. Apologize.
So you're 4 team. I think top 4 teams get a bye, and then it's.
Well, maybe I heard 8 more then. That would make sense, I guess. But no, even better.
You're originally thinking,
the 4 highest ranked conference champions will earn top seeds in a first round bye. The other 8 teams will play in the first round with the higher seeds hosting the lower seeds on campus or another site of choice. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that aspect. You give because some of these small towns, they live and die by college football and the revenue that they produce. So you give them another weekend, and then the first round of the playoffs will take usually the week of the 21st, and then the national championship game. Will be played January 20th of 25 and January 19th of 26. So they're going to push the national championship game back 2 weeks almost.
Yeah, that's right.
So how many playoff rounds would it be?
Well, it's
3, 4.
3.
You get a bye, so it goes from 8 to 4. So that's 1 round. Then the bye people come in, 2nd round, and then you go then that goes to back to 4. So and then 4, 2. So almost 5 rounds, right?
Yeah.
4.
Yeah, 4 or 5. Yeah.
Take the buyouts, and then those 8 teams go to 4. Put them together. That's round.
Put the 4. That's back to 8.
It's crazy.
That's round 2, and that's 4. The 4 is round 3, and then the 2. So 4 rounds.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
I know we're getting real quick, Tommy. I know we're getting ready. The chat is on fire. There's almost still over 100 people in here. We only have 32 likes. As we get out of here, go slam that like for us, please. You guys are firing off in the chat, and I love it. I love reading it and seeing it, and you guys going back and forth with each other is hysterical. Slam that like, though. Hit that like button for us.
Yeah, and if you want to, like I said, if you want to get involved and become an ATD member on YouTube, go do it now, and you'll get in the drawing to be on the wheel. That we'll definitely be doing every Wednesday, and we'll be mixing in a Sunday wheel as well. So we got giveaways coming every week, if not twice a week. So become a member, and there'll be more coming giveaways besides that. So listen, great show, boys. Even after a loss, it's therapeutic. We're fine. Let's go figure out a way next week. Get the 1 seed, and we can build off of that. So. For Nick Delgazzo, no Brian Wilson, Greg Milakovic, I'm Tom Arno. No comments. Loser.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I've been in the weeds over the last 48 hours, so I don't even know what day it is or year. So
a week in the Northeast. So fuck you, Greg. Up to 60.
We're back to the 80s.
I was gonna say we're in the 60s, so we're okay.
Get
We're
those sticks out. Go golfing while you can.
Yeah, we're in shorts up here. Every Sunday, we're brought to you by our doc. Make them yours, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, location in Burlington, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. They accept most major insurances. Dr. Paul Vidal and his team, they'll take care of you. We love you all, and we'll be talking Eagles all week. So hit the like, subscribe, like Greg said. Stay with us, and follow us on all social media platforms. Just search A2D Radio.